In this video, we're going to talk about why you get tight after you've been stretching. Sometimes you spend a good couple days just stretching and stretching and stretching, and you feel like you're getting more flexible, but then a few days later, all of your flexibility gains are lost. This is a challenge that I face and that everybody faces when you're trying to get more flexible. So if you watch through to the end of this video, you're going to understand why this happens and what you can do about it so you can make flexibility gains in the long run. So if you're ready, let's get ready to think right, move right, and feel right. I keep stretching, but I keep getting tight after stretching and I'm not getting any more flexible. If you've found yourself saying this to yourself, then you're not alone. This is something that all of us have said to ourselves at some point.
You're standing around stretching, and after 30 minutes you get a little farther and you're touching the middle of your shin and you're like, yes!
And then you treat yourself to a little snack to celebrate. And when you come back from your snack, you're like, I want to feel this again. This is going to be amazing. And you go, what? I can't reach my knees. Or maybe you're stretching your hip flexors and you're finally getting some hip extension and you can feel the stretch in the right spot. Your glutes are squeezed. Your low back is not taking the hit because you know how to control that now with your abs and everything is feeling so good. But then 2 days later, you go to do that same stretch and you're like, ugh, what the, This phenomenon of tightening up after stretching is really common, and it's going to happen to most adults if they haven't established a really flexible foundation as kids. So if you weren't a dancer or a gymnast when you were younger, it's really common to feel like, man, I just can't make any flexibility gains even though I keep trying to do static stretching. What have you learned about your body that you think would be helpful to other people who are trying to get their bodies to be less tight? Drop your knowledge bombs in the comment section down below. Static stretching, by the way, is the type of stretching most of us think of when we think of stretching, which is you get to a position and you just hang there trying to relax, 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 and relax until something eventually gives. There are other kinds of stretching, by the way, which we will touch on later in this video. When you're static stretching, you're teaching muscle fibers to lengthen. All the muscle fibers of your hamstrings, for example, in this stretch are being asked to figure out how to allow this kind of stretch to happen. Absolutely imperative that you do this so that you learn how to coordinate that motion. However, just asking the muscle fibers to allow for lengthening does not actually teach them to control the lengthened position very well. So what happens when we're doing this long-term static stretching is we are learning to lengthen the muscle fibers, but we are not actually establishing strength at that lengthened position. And if a muscle lacks strength at a certain position, it's not going to allow you to go easily and swiftly and calmly and smoothly into that specific position. This is just a basic safety mechanism built into our hardware and software. Think of this pressing exercise. This is not at all a flexibility exercise. It's not a stretch at all. I have in my hand here just an 18-pound kettlebell, and I know and I feel that I can control this downward descent. Because it doesn't feel dangerous at all, I'm able to go up and down without an issue. If I increase the weight, my body still senses that I can handle coming down and back up, and there's no problem doing the motion. There's no restriction to my mobility or flexibility. However, if I now stack these kettlebells together in a really awkward way that I cannot handle, or if I used 100 pounds in my hand, I know, I feel, I sense I cannot safely descend, and my body will not let me do it.
Big thanks to Zoe, Ashley, Janet, and Living Fit for your support of my channel. If you want to support this channel too, use the thanks button or the PayPal link or whatever links you find down in the description box.
And hey, don't forget, you can click the join button down below to become a supporting member. When we recognize that we have this safety mechanism at play and that our bodies are constantly sensing what we can safely do, then we can realize that when we stretch and just try to static stretch, we're not going to get all of the gains that we want. Our flexibility is going to be limited unless we have the strength to handle the position that we're going into. So if your body can sense, you know what, we can't contract these hamstrings enough, we don't have the ability to fire enough to control this position, your body is just going to say, we're not going any lower.
So then you just hang out there and you grind away, reaching, trying to get these muscles to lengthen, and they'll lengthen a little bit, but the next time you go to do it, you're gonna have to keep fighting for that same amount of a little bit of length because you didn't really build the strength at that lengthened position. Now, that's not to say that static stretching is bad. Static stretching is useful. I use it all the time. Many people use it to great effect. But if you find yourself struggling because you're doing only static stretching and it's just not working and you're not getting anywhere, you really want to think about using other stretching techniques so that you can lock in your flexibility gains, build strength at length so that you're then able to use that length and feel safe when you go back to that same lengthened position. If you just keep doing static stretching, trying to relax, and never engage in any of the other stretching techniques, you're not going to build the strength you need to feel like you own and control those lengthened positions. And then you'll find yourself saying, "Why am I still so stiff and tight?" So what are the other kinds of stretching you should think about? The two main forms of stretching you should think about are contract and relax, and also loaded stretching. In both these forms of stretching, you are contracting the muscles that are lengthened. So for example, if I were doing a stretch of my inner thigh muscles, I'd go into a stretch position and then I would contract those stretched muscles, pulling, using those muscles, firing for like 5, 10, even 20, 30 seconds, but firing those muscles, teaching them to contract, to produce force in that lengthened position, and then relax, and then see if I can go a little bit further. That's how you use contract, relax, and I'm not going to go into all the many names there are for this form. If you know one of the many other names for contract, relax, you can drop that name down in the comment section below so other people know what contract, relax goes by. In any case, with contract, relax, we are just continuously lengthening. We contract, thinking about really using those muscles, feeling them get tired, and then we can lengthen out even more. And you just keep doing this, and you can do this for any muscle group that you want. Loaded stretching is when you put some weight or use a band or some kind of load or resistance to force the muscles that you're stretching to keep lengthening and keep getting stronger at an eccentric contraction, meaning contracting while lengthening. The whole point here is that I'm using a weight to force those muscles to work. They are gonna have to slow down the descent of this weight while continuously fighting to stay in their shortened position. So then, I guess they can't stay short. I guess we gotta get long, and they get longer and longer until they're getting longer and stronger. These two techniques can be extremely powerful if you feel like you keep getting tight every time you stretch. So if you feel like you've reached a flexibility plateau, you keep stretching and you just like, I must be a genetic freak, then use these techniques. Implement them in your stretching routines so that you can get strength at every length, and that's going to help you get more flexible. If you're looking to get stronger, more mobile, healthier hips, check out the Healthy Hips program, which I'm going to link to down below. And if you're really stiff and tight and you want to be able to touch your toes or do a deep squat, then check out these free videos here. If you want to support this channel, use the thanks button or the PayPal link down below. If you don't want to give me any money, it's totally fine. Hit the like button, share this video, subscribe with the bell notification on. And as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.